history will be made in Week 17. That is normally the case in any NFL season, and this year, well, it's no different, as the Dallas Cowboys have an opportunity to make the playoffs at a 7-9 record with a win over the New York Giants today. How rare is that? Well, it's only been seen twice since the NFL merger. 2010, the Seattle Seahawks did it, and then in 2014, so did the Carolina Panthers, and the Seahawks are the only team at 7-9 to actually make the postseason. Well, there is going to be one team with 7 wins and a losing record to make the playoffs today out of the NFC East. It'll either be the Dallas Cowboys, the Washington football team, or the New York Giants. But if you look at the Cowboys, their original chances are much better than they were back in Week 14. Less than 1% chance for the Cowboys to make the postseason, up to 28 after they've won 3 straight and have an opportunity to win the NFC East today. We're going to break it down for you right here, right now on Cowboys Pregame Live.
The Dallas Cowboys pregame show, live from the Star in Frisco, is brought to you by AT&T. Academy, the official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full access to coaches' film and game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl. Subscribe at DallasCowboys.com/Game Pass.
Dallas has taken the last 7 meetings with the New York Giants, and today they aim to make it 8 straight and put themselves in position for a potential playoff berth. It's the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants here on Cowboys Pregame Live. Welcome into the Star, everybody. Kyle Yeomans, Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback. We've got Nate Newton, Danny Sarek, and Nick Eatman coming up here in just a matter of moments. But guys, when you look at this, it's Week 17. The Cowboys have an opportunity here, and the D-Town turnaround could be completed today. What started with a 3-9 record, and now you're at 6-9. But a chance is a chance. A chance is a chance. You are right. And look, it all comes down to this. This is it. I mean, look, we don't control our own destiny. So, I mean, I'm sure after this game, we're all going to be the biggest Philadelphia Eagles fans there ever was. But, I mean, there's a chance, like you said. I mean, look, we're going against this New York Giants team. It's a hated division rivalry, and we got our chance to punch a playoff ticket. Oh, and not to mention, our old head coach is on the opposing sideline. Isaiah, this is must-see TV.
Absolutely. And in the words of the great Magic Johnson, it's showtime. Everyone's got to show up today. And obviously, we understand what's at stake. Control what you can control. This is your big game. This is your playoff game. It starts today. Handle your business and let the rest of the world take care of the rest. The Cowboys need a win and a Washington loss in order to make the postseason. But first, you got to take care of business yourself, Barry. How do the Cowboys do that against the Giants?
Well, I think that we got to take care of Andy, or not Andy. I'm sorry about that. We got to take care of Daniel Jones. I mean, look, this guy is a walking turnover, so we got to take care of him, and we got to run the ball great. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott coming off one of his better games last week. This offense seemed to be hitting on all cylinders, especially at the receiving position. So to me, we got to take advantage of Daniel Jones, get our receivers involved, and we could walk away with a dub.
Yeah, we need all of our PT peers to show up. Okay. You know what that is, BC. You know, and for those that don't know, PT peers are prime time players. We need everybody to show up today, play the best game that you've ever played in your life, and we need you to play as if you have months off, because you just might.
This is true.
Well, and the Giants also coming into town fighting for that last postseason spot, like I mentioned a couple moments ago. But Daniel Jones really has not been a PTP for New York, especially against the Dallas Cowboys. In 3 games, here are his numbers: less than 500 passing yards. He hasn't really run efficiently. He's been sacked 7 times, and you look at 5 turnovers. The majority of those are fumbles. He just has not been efficient.
He has not been efficient at all, and we have to continue defensively doing what we've been doing for this winning streak. I don't know what it is with this defensive line, but they're playing with a new aggression, a new violence to the game. They're arriving at these ball carriers with bad intentions, so we have got to keep that up. Scratch, claw, punch, whatever you need to do to take the ball away from this team, you've got to do it. And in secondary, we have to continue to be opportunistic. What we do know about Daniel Jones, like you said, Kyle, he's a walking turnover, whether it be in the pocket, scrambling, or throwing the ball. He's a walking turnover. We have to be opportunistic on this defensive side of the ball, and hopefully we can walk away with a dub.
Yeah, I think there's 3 things that our defense needs to do in order to continue the success, especially against these guys. And one of them is be disciplined. Right? We need to be disciplined. Number 2, we need to be exactly where we're supposed to be. That means know your assignments, know your position, know your role within your scheme. And then number 3, be patient. There's nothing that we have to do outside of ourselves in this game. We have to be patient, be confident, because Daniel Jones, as you guys already mentioned, he will give you an opportunity.
This season as a starter, Daniel Jones is 4-9. He's had 9 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. I mean, it's even. An even touchdown-interception ratio is not going to help you out whenever it comes to a starting quarterback, especially when you're going up against this Cowboys defense, especially as of late. Since Week 14, they have a +9 turnover differential, which is good enough for the best in the NFL. The Giants, since Week 14, they're -2 in that department, one of the bottom 5 teams in that category. When we come back, the Cowboys do have a pair of starters out on the defensive side of the football. Who's in, who's out when we return?
What would it mean to get 1,000 yards, to reach 1,000 yards Sunday?
I'm feeling good. I felt good after Sunday. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably say Sunday I probably felt the freshest I felt since that first Philly game. But to get 1,000 yards, I mean, it would mean a lot. I mean, I'm not really worried about it. I want to win this football game and get a shot in the playoffs. But I mean, getting 1,000 yards in this league is not easy. It's definitely not easy. And it is an accomplishment. But it's not really something I'm focused on.
The week off, was it needed? I mean, obviously you're fresher, you feel better. I mean, I know you wanted to play, but in hindsight, obviously that made a difference out there on Sunday.
Yeah. I would say I probably needed it. Just me being the competitor I am, it was killing me just not being able to be out there. And, I was trying to do whatever I could. Couldn't get out there for that San Fran game. Thank God Tony brought his juice and took over that game and played his tail out. But I think I definitely did need it. And, I mean, we saw last week just how fresh I felt and how fresh I looked. And it definitely paid dividends.
This time of the year, the winter weather up in the Northeast is always a factor, and of course that is no different. 35 degrees and snowy out at MetLife Stadium. Let's head out to New York and hear from Nick Eatman. Nick, how's things going out there in the snow?
Thank you, Kyle. And as you can see here, the snow coming down here in the pregame for the Cowboys and the Giants. Happy New Year, everyone. 2020 is starting off with the first game with a snowstorm. We'll see how long that lasts and how much it affects the game when the Cowboys and Giants square off here for this all-important regular season finale. Of course, it's important right now. We'll see what happens later on with the winner of this game. And, of course, you guys have talked about what happens with Washington and the NFC East. There was some news that went down Saturday night. Kellen Moore has decided to stay with the Dallas Cowboys for the next few years. They signed a multi-year contract extension. His name was linked to the Boise State opening for their head coach position. Of course, Kellen Moore is like a god up there at Boise State. He was one of the best players they've ever had, and his name was linked to that job. He didn't say that he had been offered. He just said they won't be pursuing it any longer. For right now, he did say at some point it might be something down the road, but the Cowboys offense ranks 12th this year. They've done it without Dak, without the starting offensive tackle, Zach Martin, for most of the year. And so, last year, of course, they were number 1 in total offense. So Kellen Moore just said in an official statement on Saturday, they're just building too much here, wanted to be a part of it. So we'll see what happens next year. Of course, next year, we're still trying to figure out this year. The Cowboys have a chance, of course, to get into the playoffs. We'll see what the snow changes anything. Kyle, back to you.
If there were a Reporter of the Week segment, it would go to Nick Eatman. I do not envy the fact that you're standing in the snow, joined here by Nate Newton at the guitar pick. But he mentioned not only the snow, but Kellen Moore getting a 3-year extension with the Dallas Cowboys. The second-year offensive coordinator has done a better job as of late. What have you thought about him in that role?
Kellen Moore, I was on him. I was on it. And I was like, let him go. But you know what I thought about it? These last 3 or 4 games, man, he's been working hand-in-hand with our offensive line coach, and he's done a great job. And if he continue to grow, man, we got something special in Kellen Moore, I think.
He was rumored to go back to his alma mater, potentially be a part of that Boise State program, which is really kind of turned out good head coaches in the collegiate level over the last 2 decades or so. Well, he is going to stay here for the Cowboys, at least for the foreseeable future. And he's done a nice job with Andy Dalton. I feel like Andy Dalton has really kind of blossomed under him as a backup, and Kellen Moore, luckily, we'll see him sticking around. But let's go to the defensive side of the football, where the Cowboys are going to be missing a couple of pieces. Darian Thompson, Justin Hamilton have each been placed on the COVID-19 reserve list as of this past weekend. There are a trio of assistant coaches that will not be traveling with the team as well. How big of an impact is it not having some of those guys on the defensive side of the football?
They've been playing well as a team. They've been doing what they had to do. And more importantly, they've been handling their assignments. Darian Thompson and Hampton, they've been in the rotation, doing what they're supposed to do, getting their 20 to 30 plays and being dominant in the plays that they have been making. So they'll be missed sorely.
They are not alone on the inactive list today. Let's take a look at the rest of those inactives. And whenever it comes to the defensive side, well, Leighton Vander Esch is the biggest name on there. He is inactive for the 2nd straight week. Zach Martin, who was activated off of IR, but also put on the inactive list, he is not ready to go for week 17. Could potentially be ready for a wild card week matchup should the Cowboys make the playoffs. And then Rashard Robinson, another name that we've seen as a starter in the past in that secondary. Anybody stick out to you, and why is it Leighton Vander Esch that sticks out to you?
Leighton, man, we're going to miss you, my friend. I think you was getting better as the year went on. I know you had a couple of injuries there. You want to get consistent, but don't worry, Sean Lee will take it for you.
And without Leighton Vander Esch last week, you mentioned Sean Lee, and we'll talk more about Sean coming up in a minute, but how different does this defense look when 55's not out there?
I tell you what, he's an athlete, and like I say, he took a little setback there with the injuries, and he was coming and getting better and better each week, man. They're going to miss his athleticism, and that's what's going to hurt the most.
How big is it the fact that he is the biggest name on that inactive list, and Xavier Woods is available today because Woods will be out there and playing?
Woods has been playing nice for us all year. He's, along with Donovan, makes a nice tandem. They both come up, play on the line, they can play back, and they can make big plays, and that's what I like about this situation.
Absolutely, and I think both of those guys will make an impact. When we come back, we'll talk about how those guys have helped this D-Town turn around. The Cowboys have an opportunity at the playoffs when we return.
What do you think has been the key for this winning streak here the last couple of weeks?
All I can really say is camaraderie and holding each other to a higher standard and believing that we're going to get our job done, play in and play out.
DeMarcus, after all you guys went through, your 3-9 just a few short weeks ago, how do you explain winning enough games now to have a chance this final week to win the division and get the playoffs?
Yeah, man. We had a rough start, but I feel like the guys came back together strongly. They're playing awesome football right now, and all we can do is keep playing awesome football and let everything else fall into place. We can't sit here and dwell on what's going on outside of our football complex, but we're getting better. Period.
3-9 to 6-9. It sure is nice to have meaningful football heading into Week 17 of the NFL season. And Danny Sarek has more on this Cowboys turnaround that has a shot at making history.
Dallas enters the final game of the regular season at 6-9, still with a chance to make the playoffs so long as they beat New York and Washington loses to Philadelphia. A few weeks ago, this team was 3-9. However, they got hot at the right time. Dallas is riding a 3-game win streak, still alive in the NFC East. Many counted this team out except for the players and coaches. Running back Ezekiel Elliott has been saying for weeks that they still have a chance to make the playoffs, and turns out he was right. Elliott says this team caught fire at the right time, and that's what matters.
Now we're here, week 17, and we're right there in the mix. So I mean, it definitely means a lot. You know, it shows the type of man we have in this locker room, just for us to not give up when everyone else counted us out, and put ourselves in a position to still have a shot at winning the NFC East.
The Cowboys have had their fair share of wrinkles to work through with the new coaching staff this year, specifically on defense. However, in recent weeks, the Cowboys have won turnover battles and limited their points allowed. Defensive end Marcus Lawrence says the sky is the limit for this team, and they're going to stick together and shoot for the stars up until the end of the season.
We had a rough start, but I feel like the guys came back together strongly. They're playing awesome football right now, and all we can do is keep playing awesome football and, let everything else fall into place. We can't sit here and dwell on what's going on outside of our football complex, but getting better, period.
Dallas enters the final game of the regular season at 6-9, still with a chance to make the playoffs so long as they beat New York and Washington loses to Philadelphia. A few weeks ago, this team was 3-9. However, they got hot at the right time. Dallas is riding a 3-game win streak, still alive in the NFC East. Many counted this team out except for the players and coaches. Running back Ezekiel Elliott has been saying for weeks that they still have a chance to make the playoffs, and turns out he was right. Elliott says this team caught fire at the right time, and that's what matters.
Thank you very much, Danny. And of course, the Cowboys do have an opportunity, and they have to win and then wait is really the scenario today. And the Cowboys, I talked to CJ Goodwin earlier this week, and he said, of course, we're going to be watching that game on the plane on the way back. We need to know what our fate is. But talking about the turnaround that has already happened in the 3-game win streak, how much credit does Mike McCarthy deserve, Nate?
A lot of it. I mean, it was damage control, like a tornado had just came in and wiped out the city with all these injuries. And it meant a lot to him, man, to start managing this team, getting everybody confidence back, letting everybody know that, hey, we're still in this. And Zeke took that mantle and ran with it.
Yeah, these coaches, Mike McCarthy and the rest of the coaches, deserve a ton of credit. Reason being, they found a way to scheme around all the adversity that they faced this year, from COVID to not, being a brand new coaching staff, to not being able to be hands-on with their guys, to injuries, to underperformance, to cutting guys, to a loss, a death in the family. I mean, these guys have done a heck of a job corralling and finding the heartbeat of this team at the right time.
And I mentioned this in the last segment with Nate, but Andy Dalton also deserves a lot of credit. He was 5th in passer rating over the last 3 games. Of course, whenever he played New York the first time around, he was 9 of 11 for 111 yards and led the game-winning touchdown. What's the biggest difference that you guys have seen for Andy Dalton since he returned from injury over these last 4 games?
Besides getting up off the turf, reps, and more reps. This guy has went out there. He's put himself in position to be the leader of this team. He's played a tremendous role in just coming back and showing these young guys under fire how to be cool.
Yeah, I'm going to go with protection. He has protection up front now. As you mentioned, he's not on the ground as much as he once was. He also has confidence within the system. And then also he has symmetry through chemistry, right? He has symmetry through chemistry with these guys, and he's found a way to get these guys the ball and understand where their ins and outs are.
I also think play calling does play a huge factor into that as well. And we've seen that keeping him upright over the last 4 games on quick passes. So, of course, play calls to get the ball into the hands of playmakers. Andy Dalton has 10 touchdowns and just 2 interceptions. So he's had an opportunity to really find a rhythm with his receiving core, and that's what they did last week in the win that kept them alive. When we come back, well, Sean Lee might be in his final game as a Dallas Cowboy. We'll talk about it next.
you guys control what you can control. You'll get back into town on Sunday night, and I believe the Washington game will be going on. How do you envision tracking that game and watching that game? Because you guys take care of your business first.
Yeah, we got to handle our business before we can worry about what's going to happen that night. But I think everybody will be paying attention to the game and trying to see what's going to happen. So, we'll get back in time and we'll be able to see the end of it. And so we'll be tuned in, trying to figure out what's going to happen.
How's the Wi-Fi usually on the plane ride home?
It usually works pretty well. So we'll try to follow as much as we can on the plane ride, and then, like I said, we'll be able to catch the end of it once we get home.
When the Cowboys selected Sean Lee in the second round of the 2010 NFL Draft, little did they know they were getting a franchise-changing type of player and an impact player even into 2020. We saw it last week in the win over the Philadelphia Eagles. Here's what Rob Phillips had to say on what could be Sean Lee's final game as a Dallas Cowboy.
As always, Sean Lee is staying in the moment. At 34 years old, nearing the end of his 11th season with the Cowboys, and currently on a one-year deal, Lee has gotten used to answering questions about his football future this time of year. But Lee's only focus right now, really his only focus ever, is a shot at the playoffs. The Cowboys can have that Sunday if they beat the Giants and if Washington loses to the Eagles on Sunday night. In late December, Lee has helped give Dallas that chance. He missed the first 7 games recovering from off-season core muscle surgery. He's mostly been a rotation player behind starting linebackers Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch. But last Sunday, with Vander Esch inactive with a sprained ankle, Lee made his first start of the year at middle linebacker. He played a season-high 30 snaps and helped the defense shut out the Eagles in the second half of a 37-17 win. Lee is a 2-time Pro Bowler and a starter throughout his career, but the last couple seasons, he's accepted a reduced snap count, with Smith and Vander Esch emerging as starters. Lee has played in the playoffs twice in his career. Team goals come first. As for a possible 12th season with the Cowboys, Lee expects to sit down and sort that out after this season, just like he did last year. But as he said last week, he loves the game so much. And for this season, he's got a chance to keep playing into January.
Last week, Sean Lee said this is the best physically he's felt since coming back from the injury. And Sunday, the Cowboys linebacker unit needs him as part of the rotation. The key for the Dallas defense Sunday, not allowing easy chunk plays to a Giants offense that's only scored 26 points in their last 3 games. For DallasCowboys.com, I'm Rob Phillips.
Fantastic work, as always, from Rob Phillips. And there you see some of the career stats for Sean Lee. What a career it has been here in Dallas. And he's somebody, like I said, has been an impact every single time he's seen the field for the Dallas Cowboys. And what could be his final game is a little bit emotional. And Barry, you played with Sean Lee. How good of a teammate is he to have in the locker room?
He's one of the best teammates I've ever played with. I mean, this guy has had an amazing career as a Dallas Cowboy. And look, when it's all said and done, I think he could have went down as one of the best Cowboys to ever play the game. I think he was that good, but with all those injuries, that kind of gave him a setback. But with all that being said, we got business to handle today. So, Sean, I need you to come there with one of those vintage Lee performances and help this defense and help this team punch his ticket to the playoffs.
We saw one of those vintage performances last week, Nate. You've spent 11 years covering Sean Lee. Didn't get to play with him. But when you look at Sean Lee, what does he still bring to the table?
professional, man. I mean, it's not a player on this team that can't come to him for some advice for these type games. He's going to line you up like he took over in the second half, not by his physical ability, but by his thinking, getting people lined up last week and doing the right thing, and he'll do that again this week.
Does he make this linebacking position not a concern this week, Barry?
I think so. I think that with not his physical ability out there, or the athletic ability out there, but just his mind and being able to get those players lined in the right direction to get the most productivity out of those players. I think Sean Lee's an extension of this coaching staff, and I don't think you just need to be worried about that linebacker core this week.
I think last week, one of the biggest reasons, undersung reasons, that the Cowboys held Philadelphia to just 17 points and really kind of blanked them in the second half was because of the presence of 55. When we come back, we're going to wrap up the TV side of things and get you ready for the Cowboys and the Giants coming up in just a little bit on Cowboys Pregame Live.
Anthony, when you look at the takeaways y'all have been able to get in the last few games, what are some of the things you point to that have really helped y'all get this turnaround?
I would say we just been playing as one in the back end, flying around, ball in the air. We're going to attack the ball, and the ball been kind of falling our way on the fumble recoveries, and we just taking it.
Anthony, what's this year been like for you? You missed as much time as you did, and the defense was really struggling, and now the defense has kind of turned the tide. How do you look back on what's obviously been kind of a wild year?
Well, we know it's going to be growing pains coming into the year, and we'll get better with time, and that's what happened. The more and more we got reps, the more and more we got in more games, we just keep getting better and better. Our communication getting better, our energy getting better out there, and we just playing as one.
When you mention your energy getting better, why do you think it wasn't as strong earlier in the season? And is part of that just having to think too much to make sure you're doing what the scheme requests?
I think it's just more guys now know exactly what we need to do and what's expected, and we're going out there and executing the plan every week. And everybody's going on the field with the same mindset, and nobody's playing individual ball.
The Dallas Cowboys pregame show, live from the Star in Frisco, was brought to you by AT&T. SWBC Mortgage, financial solutions to help you meet your personal and business goals. Visit SWBC.com. And by the Dallas Cowboys Football Club. Want to tour AT&T Stadium? For more information, call 817-892-TOUR or visit DallasCowboys.com/tours.
The Cowboys look to win their 8th straight against the New York Giants and also put themselves in position for a potential playoff berth. The Cowboys and the Giants kicking off at noon on Fox. That'll do it on the internet side of things, or in the TV side of things. Join us on the internet. I'm Kyle Yeoman saying enjoy the game, everybody.
Michael, what's the tone been like this week, and what does it mean to go into Week 17 still having playoff implications after the way y'all started the season?
The tone's been definitely upbeat. Got to find some energy, got to find some grit. But I think everybody has this week. We know what's at stake. We know we got to get our job done first. And then obviously got to rely on another team to win too. But we know what we're going into. It's been a good week, so definitely excited.
You guys practiced indoors today, but you had the doors up. Was that to kind of get a sense of what the weather's going to be like on Sunday?
Yeah, Coach, he opened up the doors. Obviously didn't go outside because it's raining, but it's supposed to be rainy and cold up there this week. So he was just trying to give us a little taste of what it's going to be like this weekend up in New York.
Is that effective at all? Were you able to kind of sense the weather?
I mean, everybody's going to definitely sense the weather. Nobody likes really playing in the cold unless you're kind of, different. But definitely wasn't me. I definitely felt the cold. But, it's not too bad.
Continuing on here on Cowboys Pregame Live from the Star in Frisco. So we get you ready for the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. It's week 17 of the NFL season, and playoff spots are at stake in the NFC East. Kyle Yeomans, Church, Isaiah Stanback, and the great Nate Newton, 6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time Super Bowl champion. And one thing that none of these guys have done has made the playoffs with a losing record. The Cowboys can do that today at 7-9. You guys never had to make the playoffs with a losing record. Nah. Okay. Good. Took care of business where you needed to. Just a reminder, though, this is a New York Giants team that at least 3 weeks ago was 5-7 and actually led the NFC East. And they've had some injury issues, have not had really their full arsenal of weapons. So the Cowboys overall could find a way to lose this game if they're not careful. And that's kind of what we're talking about here. Haven't talked a whole lot about those wide receivers, though, and the weapons that really Andy Dalton has been able to throw to over the last couple of weeks. They have really been game changers. What have you seen from this offense as a whole and what they've brought to the table in the 3-game win streak?
Well, these receivers, these last couple games, they've become extremely efficient. And I think that's because of the fact that this offensive line has come together and they've kept Andy Dalton upright. I mean, we've talked about it so far in this pregame show that when he's upright, he's an efficient quarterback, and he's able to get the ball to multiple players out there, including those wide receivers, Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, and CeeDee Lamb out there. So hopefully, if they're able to keep him up, they can do the same tonight.
Yeah, as a former quarterback, I understand how important it is to have chemistry with these guys. He hadn't had a lot of reps early on, right? These receivers, everybody runs their routes differently. Everybody has different speeds and different paces. Guys run at different tempos. Their plant foot is different. Where they shade at, where they're at in the different coverages. So all those things are things on the back end that have to be worked out through practice. So as we talk about reps, Andy Dalton has figured that out, and these guys are a lot more confident and comfortable with him.
Oh, I agree 100%, fellas. And then when the play calling has been real nice and you don't know who is going to get the ball, but I'm going to tell you, it all starts with Amari Cooper. If he can get started quickly, the other receivers just flourish after that.
And there's also one thing that's been a common theme from everybody throughout the show is this offensive line has seen improvement. You look at the guys like Brandon Knight, Connor Williams, Joe Looney, Connor McGovern, Terrence Steele. These are guys that at least early in the season struggled and were part of the problem. Now they've been a little bit of the part of the solution, or a big part of the solution.
I think they've been a huge part of the solution. And like you mentioned, those guys, Terrence Steele and Brandon Knight. I mean, I was very critical of this offensive line early on in the season. I called them patchwork, and I wasn't sure if they were going to make it throughout the season. But these past couple games, when they've gone on this win streak, I mean, they've gelled as a unit. They've kept them together. They kept this offense rolling, opened up holes for Zeke and Tony Pollard. I think this offensive line has a bright future.
And who has the advantage out of the offensive line from the Cowboys versus a pretty stout front seven from New York?
I'm going straight with Dallas. I'm going with Dallas. I feel like Dallas, because of the chemistry, right? Because of the confidence in their coach, Phil, being like, as my guy, Big Nate Dogg is going to say. And also because of the quick release in our passing game. We're not going to allow them to get home. That frustrates the mess out of a defensive lineman.
You know what, man? I tell you what, man. Terrence Steele, my hat's off to you, brother, because nobody thought you were supposed to be in the league, and you made it through. Hey. Keep doing a great job, man. And these guys have said it all, man. Just keep doing a great job from one lineman to another.
Okay. Whenever Nate says, let me tell you something, man, or secondly, he gives you a chest bump, that means he likes what you're doing, Terrence Steele. So take that as a huge compliment. Now, looking at the Giants side of things, who scares you the most on their side of the football, more specifically on the offensive side?
For me, I mean, there's two people, but I'm going to go ahead and go with the guy that most people sleep on, and that's Darius Slay. I mean, number 86 for the New York Giants. He's a wide receiver out there with blazing speed. This is a guy that you have to keep a track of at the beginning of each and every play because he has the ability to burn you and get over top of the secondary. So this is a guy that's slept on, but they got to keep their eye on him for him.
Have you ever had to cover Slayton?
No, I haven't, and I'm glad I haven't because he would have ran right past my 4.6 butt.
You got the hamstring. You know,
it's a little tight.
Oh, yeah. A little tight. Now, I'm going to go with their tight end duel, Ingram and Smith. Those two worry me. They bother the mess out of me simply because of the fact that even when one sits in the block and help block on D-Law, help block on Gregory, there's still one of those guys getting out. Those guys both have speed. They both have size, and they can present a problem for our secondary.
And there's no one left. So don't give Daniel Jones life. That is the only guy that's left. He's been injured. He's a turnover machine, as you guys have said. Don't give Daniel Jones life.
None of you guys said Jason Garrett? Nobody worried about Jason?
Well, we know he's just going to line up and play.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I just wanted to throw it out there. I thought I had to. Whenever you look at this secondary, there's a lot of questions going into the offseason. And the offseason could start as soon as tonight whenever it comes to the Cowboys, especially when it comes to contracts. There are 3 contracts that are going to be up. And when you talk about Chido Awuzie, Jordan Lewis, Xavier Woods, all 3 active today, what do you need to see from them against this Giants offense?
I just need them to be able to communicate as a whole. These past couple games, they've done a great job. We haven't seen a lot of busted coverages. We haven't seen a lot of missed tackles out there. So we need to get these guys on the same page as a unit and collectively bottle in Daniel Jones and be able to take advantage of him. If they're able to do that, hey, who knows about next year?
I mean, it's no different if they were entrepreneurs and they were on Shark Tank. I want to see their 60-minute pitch. Right? I want to see their 60-minute pitch today. Can they play a full 60-minute game? And can they present themselves as worthy to be brought back next year to be a huge addition to this defense?
Just keep competing, fellas. Y'all been doing a great job on the field here these last 4 games. Keep competing, and you'll be okay.
This is not one of those offenses that's going to light up the scoreboard.
Nah.
This is the best opportunity, I think, for a 60-minute pitch for these guys to really put good film out there and find a way to get their way either way back here to Dallas next year or to potentially find a good contract elsewhere. Now, let's play a game, gentlemen. How about that? Loosen it up a little bit. We got a couple more minutes left. This is called over-under, and it's pretty self-explanatory. You either tell me when the number is over or you expect it to be over or under a certain milestone because, of course, week 17, there's a lot of milestones that can be reached. We're going to start things off with Ezekiel Elliott. Zeke, 72.5 rushing yards, over or under. Just so you know, 63 would get him to 1,000.
I'm going to say over. I mean, I've been over here hyping up this offensive line, saying how good they are and how good of a unit they've become. I think they open up a lot of holes for Zeke and Tony Pollard this afternoon. I say he gets over 62 and he gets that 1,000-yard mark. I am going to agree with you, and I'm going to go with the over simply because of the fact that he has the juice and he's trying to get loose. And I think that this offense and this organization understands how important it is for him, especially in this year, to hit that 1,000-yard mark.
I had him over last week. I got him over this week. Zeke is a freak, and let's go, baby.
Ezekiel Elliott last week, 105 rushing yards. It was his best game of the year. But even in a down year for Zeke, he's hit 63 yards in a game 7 out of the 14 times. So half the time, he's hit 63 yards, so he could potentially get to that point as well. Let's go to the rookies side of things, starting with CeeDee Lamb, second among rookies in receiving yards, in receptions. He's third in receiving yards. But how about 107.5 to try and get him to 1,000 with 108?
I'm going to say over as well because I figure James Bradbury, who's the New York Giants' best corner, he's had a heck of a year out there. I think he'll be shadowing either Amari Cooper or Michael Gallup. So I think CeeDee Lamb gets one-on-one coverage with one of these linebackers or safeties, and I feel like he's able to take advantage of it. I say he goes over 107 and hits that mark.
So everybody getting 1,000 today. Everybody. All right, you get 1,000. I'm going to go with under, and it's not for any particular reason aside from the fact that I don't think there's going to be enough balls to go around today. I think that the New York Giants are going to try to do everything in their power to try to slow our ability down and limit the number of plays that we have. So with that being the case, he can't eat, Coop can't eat, and Zeke. So somebody has to take a loss.
Okay. Wow, I think about this, man, and there's nobody in the world that can stick CeeDee Lamb in the slot. You know what I'm saying? But 100 yards is hard today with Zeke getting 2,000, so he won't make it today.
Now, I will say, CeeDee Lamb grew up in Texas. He played his collegiate ball at Oklahoma.
Right.
He's playing in the snow today. So it's kind of out there whenever you talk about the passing game. 108 yards is going to be interesting for a guy who at least grew up in warm weather climates and played in warm weather climates. Okay, sticking with rookies, defensive side of the football. Trayvon Diggs with an interception today. Give him 4 on the year. That would be the most for any defensive back since 2011.
Man, 2011. I'm in a generous mood today.
Are you?
A generous mood. I'm going to say over as well for my boy Diggs. I mean, look, Daniel Jones is a walking turnover. We all talked about it in pregame, whether it be in the pocket, scrambling. I think we can take advantage of this guy. Defensive line's going to heat him up. I see Trayvon Diggs getting a tip pass, some type of interception. Let's get it done, big dog.
That boy is nice. I love Diggs. I think he's come a long way this year. However, I don't think that he gets that interception today simply because I expect us to be playing a lot of too high shell. I don't think we want to give them any opportunity for big plays down the field, so we're going to be playing a lot of safe coverage. If anybody gets an interception, it's going to be one of our safeties.
This dude done play against 8 Hall of Famers this year. He going to handle what's in front of him today. He going to not only get 1, he may get 2 because Daniel Jones going to hand it to him, baby. It's Christmas, baby.
It's Christmas. Christmas is in the rearview mirror, so is New Year's. Well, I'll let you guys have it. Now, I will say, Diggs, all 3 of his interceptions have come with the wings on the side of the helmets on the other sideline. They've played against Philadelphia. That's where he's at all 3. And Daniel Jones, only 1 interception in his 3 games so far. Okay, final one. This one's going to be tough for Barry to give an over and be giving. We'll see if he does it. Randy Gregory, 3.5 sacks, or excuse me, 3 sacks this week. It would give him a season-high career high.
Man, you know what? I was in a generous mood all the way up until this last question. I'm going to go under on this one. Look, I know he had the 3 sacks last week, and that's an unbelievable accomplishment. But to do it back-to-back weeks, I mean, he's not Lawrence Taylor. He's a great talent, but he's not Lawrence Taylor. I'm saying he goes under on this one.
You saying he's not LT?
No, just not.
Not LT. Okay, yeah. No, I have to go under. I think that our defense plays well today, but I don't see one guy going off like that again.
Wow, man. And I guess I'm going to have to be the Lone Ranger, man. Gregory, do what you got to do, man. Whatever it takes.
I love how we made fun of Barry for being in the giving spirit, and Nate's doing the same exact thing.
I'm just do what it takes, man.
I like it. So thank you for enjoying a segment of over with us, because there was really no under unless it was Isaiah Stanback. But let's go back out to MetLife Stadium and hear from Nick Eatman one final time out in the snow. Nick?
Thanks again, Kyle. And if this keeps up, there's going to be some snow angels here before too long. The snow, it keeps coming down here at MetLife Stadium. Should be a fun one. And, you know, usually when games like this, you get into those trenches. That's what we're going to focus on here. For me, the defensive tackle position for the Cowboys. You know, they've been having injuries all year long. It started way back in training camp. Of course, Gerald McCoy, Dontari Poe didn't work out like they wanted to. Tristan Hill gets hurt. And then now Antoine Woods has been out. He's not going to be playing in this game. And then Justin Hamilton this week has been put on the COVID list. So, you know, they're just trying to get bodies in there. Neville Gallimore's had a really good rookie season. He's a guy to watch in there. They added Walter Palmer from the practice squad. So, and also, you know, look for Tyrone Crawford to be in there. And, you know, this is, who knows what happens, you know, later on with Washington in this game. But, you know, you have to look at it like some of these guys, some of these veterans, this maybe could be their last game, and Sean Lee's been in that group, and also you have to look at Tyrone Crawford in there as well, and they're going to be needing him a lot here in this defensive tackle position, so he's a guy to watch and watch the trenches here in a game like this. It could be a lot of fun there in the middle for those guys. Of course, you know, I'll be nice and warm, but for those guys, it'll be a fun game in the trenches. That's definitely a place you need to be watching. All right, Kyle, back to you.
Thank you very much, Nick. Go put on a jacket. I mean, he's just out there wearing what we're wearing. I don't want to do any of that, but appreciate it. And, of course, the defensive tackle is going to be a big question today with the inactives and, of course, with the injuries that the Cowboys have already sustained at that position throughout the year. But now it's time for our Oikos 000 strong keys to the game. The Cowboys need a win to keep their playoff hopes alive, at least into Sunday Night Football. Barry, what's your key?
My key to this game, and I feel like we've been talking about it all pregame, is we have got to take advantage of Daniel Jones. I mean, this guy, like I said earlier, he's a walking turnover. Whether it's in the pocket, scrambling, throwing the ball, we have got to take the ball away from this guy, take advantage of him, get this game over by halftime. Get it over by halftime, and let's sit down and get ready for this Philadelphia game.
Okay. I'm just going to ask the guys to play discipline. Okay. Just play discipline ball. Be where you're supposed to be. Do what you're supposed to do. Don't do anything outside of yourself, and wait for those opportunities. And when they come, seize them.
His offensive line, for the last 4 games, they've been playing consistent. They've been doing a great job. Once again, Coach Philbom, great job. And if they continue to play well today, Cowboys walk away with this thing by 3 touchdowns?
Ooh, I love it. I love it.
Well, we're going to stick with you on that then. We're going to talk about predictions. Do the Cowboys make the playoffs today? Cowboys win, Washington lost. Does it happen?
The Cowboys win the game. That's all I can tell you. Move on. Cowboys win the game.
That echoes the sentiment of, I think, the entire NFL right now, and especially the NFC East. What happens in Washington, or I guess at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia? What do you think?
Cowboys win today. It's going to be hard for Philadelphia to beat Washington, especially with Philly sitting their guys and Washington getting all their guys back. So I don't think the playoffs happen, but I do think that we win.
Guys are tough over there. Look, I've been drinking the Kool-Aid since week 13. I say the Cowboys win this game. They help punch their ticket. Washington, they don't handle business in Philadelphia.
Wow.
Philly takes care of Washington. Cowboys were in the playoffs against Uncle Tom and the what are they?
Tampa Bay
Buccaneers. Yeah, the Buccaneers. We're going against them next week.
Well, that's all the locker room material Tom Brady will need next week in the wild card game. Barry Church forgetting the team's name, but that's okay. We'll let it pass. Cowboys, Giants coming up at noon on Fox. Enjoy the game, everybody. For everybody on our DallasCowboys.com crew, Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the game. Go Cowboys.
Uncle Tom.